Wish TV is focused on family and the community and is committed to sharing the stories of those who are making a difference every day. From the All Indiana Podcast Network and Wish TV, this is Behind the Eight Podcast.
What can 160 years of experience teach you about the future? A lot, especially when it comes to protecting what matters. At Pacific Life, we've helped people and businesses confidently embrace the future with life insurance, retirement income, and employee benefits. With strategies built on strength and trust, and a promise to be here for you today and tomorrow. Ask a financial professional how Pacific Life can help you today. Pacific Life Insurance Company, Omaha, Nebraska, and in New York. Pacific Life and Annuity, Phoenix, Arizona.
Welcome to Behind the Eight, where we introduce you to some of the people that you see on TV and some that you don't see on TV. But today we're introducing you to one of our, I guess it's not even fair to say new anymore. You've been here long enough at this point.
I know. If I were a warranty, I'd be run out.
Yeah, exactly. We got Jeremy Jenkins here hanging out with us. You see him on Daybreak all the time. How are things, my friend?
Things are good. I'm really excited about the show. We've done so many great things. I'm coming off of the parade, so I'm a little tired. That was a lot of walking that we did. And I have to say, you guys have been very welcoming, and the environment has just been great. There's always something happening at Wish, so you guys keep me on my toes.
Well, we're going to dive into Jeremy's career and life and who he is and all that fun stuff. So let's start here. Where are you from originally?
So I always tell people Little Rock, but April always jokes and says LA, right? We're not talking
Lower
about
Arkansas.
We're not talking about Lower Arkansas. We're talking about specifically Crossett, Arkansas.
Okay.
And that is a town of maybe about 10, 15,000 people that is just north of the Louisiana border. We're talking like 15, 20 minutes, right? And you are also about maybe 40 minutes west of the Mississippi border.
Okay.
So we're smack dab in the middle of what we call Arklamis.
Yeah, of course, because in Arkansas, everything has to be just combined cities and states, like Texarkana and Arkadelphia and all those. So
when you get out of the majors, you're talking about the majors. My little town does not even compare to those places. But it's about 2 hours south of Little Rock.
So being kind of there in the triangle of the South, kind of a fair way to say it with all those states, what kind of food is primarily in your area? Do you get Louisiana food, or is it like,
it's a combination. It's a really good place for food, I will say, because we can throw down on a grill. It's so funny. I can think of many times where my mom is like, I'd like to grill steaks today. And it's fall.
Yeah.
So we can definitely throw down on a grill at any time.
That fits perfectly in Indiana because we grill year round. It'd be snowing on the ground and we're still out grilling. So.
I noticed the wind chill the other day. I was down by Weber's Grill. I'm like, what smells so good? And then I look behind me and there it is.
Yeah.
Popped
we don't care. We'll grill anyway.
So good. But you also have crawfish, catfish. And then every once in a while, you'll get a good Tex-Mex restaurant if you go down.
Yeah,
because you're right there. I mean, you're so close to everything. My market in Texas when I was there, again, you're talking 2.5 hours to get down there.
So let's talk a little career. Where have you been to your point to getting here?
It's so funny. I tell people all the time, I've not reported in Florida, like that whole tropical area. That's about the only place I haven't been in my career. So my career, of course, started like most of us, internships. And I had 3. I interned with a PR company that was based out of California. I interned at Channel 7, our legacy station in Arkansas, the ABC station there. And I also interned at a lifestyle magazine.
Okay.
Yes, very much like your own background. It was called Inclusion Magazine, and it was a lifestyle-based magazine that talked about what was happening around the state. So that was where my career began. And from there, I then moved into television with my first market in Butte, Montana.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Do you know much about Butte?
I don't know. I just know the market. I don't know anything about Butte in itself. But.
Very interesting place. Has a lot of rich history. And it was a very, very, very good start because you really have to work that market to get in, build trust, and, get the story on the air. It's really hard, I have to say. Kudos to the guys that are there. But from Butte, Montana, I then went to Missoula, Montana.
Sure.
And then moved more into lifestyle. After that, then went to Texas. It was a little closer to home, and I spent a little time there before spending the bulk of my career, which was, as you know, in Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
I was at the NBC station there, and I spent about 5.5 years there.
So in Texas, that would have been like Beaumont?
Believe it or not, I was right outside of Dallas. So
okay.
I was in Longview, Tyler.
Okay.
That was my
Very
area.
Cool. Yeah. I worked in Texas, far west Texas for a couple of years in San Angelo, Texas. Very, very small market, like 195, something like that. So super, super small. I always loved working in the small markets too. And to your point, you were talking about Butte, Montana, like the work that it takes as a journalist in those places to not only get a good story, but really sometimes a story in general is wild. And you really cut your teeth and get some of your chops in those markets.
And just so we can get a little perspective for the viewers who are listening to us, my friend, you know this, I know this. There are 210 markets
right.
in television. Do you want to guess Montana's distinction?
Well, oh gosh, it's got to be in the low hundreds at least, right?
Oh yeah, it's at the very bottom. Okay,
yeah.
Glendive, Montana.
Sure, that's like 210.
That is the lowest market in television.
Yeah.
I wasn't at the lowest, but I got close. I was 185.
Yeah.
So when people say I worked my way up the ladder, I worked my way up the ladder.
What is it though? Why go through that grind? Because it really is a grind. People see you in the mornings and they see your gorgeous smiling face and your wonderful personality, but they don't understand the long nights, long weekends in these small markets, grinding and cutting your teeth. So why do that? What is it about journalism that drew you to that?
It's so funny because I was just talking with a friend about this the other day who did not know my story. And he was like, oh, wow. He's like, you must really love what you do to work your way up that far, right? And so a little perspective here, Cody. When I was little, I used to watch television like most kids, and you're looking at everyone and you're getting enjoyment. I did not filter it that way. I was looking at it like I'm going to do that one day. And so I'm telling my parents, the Disney kids and Barney and all that. I'm like, you just watch. I'm going to be in the tube one day. I'm going to be on screen. And of course, like any parent, they're like, he can't sing. He can't dance. Bless his heart. We got to encourage him.
That's right.
He's going to do it. But I did it. You know what I mean? I honed my skills and figured out I was inquisitive and that I had a love and passion for storytelling and truth seeking.
Yeah.
So I went to J school at University of Arkansas in Little Rock. And as I told you before, through internships, that's how I got my start really getting experience. And then I started working my way up. It took me 7.5 months to get my first job. And what I did, and you understand this, at the time, I think we were on the cusp of the digital world.
Right. Yep.
So we were at the age where you're sending tapes out and you're calling, and some were advanced at the time. So you could send YouTube links out. I made a schedule. I would wake up at 6 a.m. because of the time zone difference. I was Central Time. So I knew I could send out links at certain times of the day. They would make it to this station or that station. And every single week I'd go down my list. I'd look at the station and the market. I'd send my email. I'd make a note to reply in 2 days to follow back up.
Yep.
And I did that for 7 months to get on the air.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember the day like it was yesterday. I remember it was 3:15 in the afternoon. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm just going to give up. I'm just going to stop and I'm just going to give up on my dream. And I sent that next link. I said, just one more. I sent that link, and Andrea Lutz in Butte, Montana responded back right away and said, hey, I have an opening. Can you be here by June? And I'm like, I could be here tomorrow.
Yeah, whatever you need, I'm there.
Whatever you need.
It's a job, I'm in. It's so funny. You mentioned kind of the old school way of having to do things. I can remember, you'd be traveling somewhere and emailing a news director and be like, hey, I just happen to be coming through the city. Excuse me. Clear my throat there. That's disgusting. But I remember I would literally email people and be like, hey, I'm coming through Lexington. I'd love to just chat. I work in XYZ or whatever. And that was like kind of an opportunity sometimes to get your face in front of people, and they'd love to give you a tour of the station. And then you're like, okay, hey, you have anything going on? That sort of thing.
And let's specifically say this is just a shot in the dark here.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
There is no guarantee that you're going to get a job. It's funny you mentioned that because you started on the other side of Texas. Are you familiar with that? It's a small town, right? I cannot think of it. I knew we would start this and I would forget it. It'll come to me in a moment. But there was a small market and I did that, right? I was not in the area. I just knew I was going to go down there and try to get a job. But I'm like, okay, Sherman, Texas.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah.
I drove to Sherman. There was a station there. One of my mentors was like, just go down there, tell them you're in the area. Yep. And I'm like, but I'm not. And she's like, well, put yourself in the area.
Find a way to get to the area.
And I called every station. I said, hey, I'm in the area. And I literally made an appointment out of just driving down. I didn't have anything to do and I just did it. And then I went to the other side of Texas and did the same thing.
Yeah. I mean, it takes that drive, and that shows when people watch you in the mornings on Daybreak, you're so polished and you hold your own, which is not an easy thing to do, sitting next to one of the best to do it in Scott Sander. And you do that. And so it's very impressive. What was it about Indianapolis and specifically Wish TV that drew you here?
Well, it's so funny that you mentioned Mr. Sander, because that's part of the reason. When you get people who are your competition and you ask about the talent that you'll be working with in the station you're at, and they tell you, oh, he's good.
Yeah.
And that's your competition. Usually, you throw a little dirt on your competition. That's just what we do. It's all friendly at the end of the day. We all love each other, but we are very competitive in this industry. But when I said what I wanted to do, the show I'd be on, they're like, you need to be there. Sitting next to him and watching him work is a master's class on its own. So that was part of the reason. The other reason, Cody, if I have to be honest, I really wanted to just kind of flip my career upside down. I've been with NBC affiliates for the majority of my career. I love NBC affiliates, don't get me wrong, but I was at a point where I felt like I was in a box. I felt like I was wash, rinse, repeat every single day. I was going in. I knew the stories I was going to tell. I knew the format they needed to be told in. And I knew that I could pretty much do this in my sleep. And I remember talking to my boss, and we had a conversation, and she just said, Jeremy, you are beloved in the market. You're beloved at the station. Why would you want to leave that behind? And I just said, at the end of the day, if I got to my last day and I looked back on what I could have done and the chances I could have taken, I kick myself in the butt if I didn't jump out on faith and say, let's see what else I can do. Let's see if I can do a podcast. Let's see if I can anchor a morning show on my own and handle that 60 minutes that we go. I mean, we go from 4 to 10.
Yeah.
Back in PA, I was only doing 30 minutes every 2 or 3 hours or so, right?
Yeah.
So I was up for the challenge, and it was time.
And it is a challenge. I mean, I did mornings for several months when I first got here and filled in on the desk a lot. And that is a haul. Like, people don't realize it because you're at home getting ready for work or, whatever people are doing for their day. They're just tuning in once in a blue moon between breakfast. But you guys are there all morning. and that's
all day.
Yeah, exactly.
What time is it right now?
It's like noon 30-ish, almost 1 o'clock, and you're still here doing, the extra things that we have to do, whether that's web stories or whatever. How has your time in Indianapolis been thus far? Any favorites, any things that you've clung to?
You know me.
Yeah.
I hit the ground running in the office and out. I think it's pretty darn impressive. Even I look back, I'm never impressed by anything that I do. Let's just say that. If I could go interview President Biden tomorrow and I'd be like, I'm not happy.
Yeah.
That wasn't a good interview.
Yeah.
And
Nitpicky.
You would want to slap me silly.
Right.
So I have to say, I'm impressed with what I have done in the little over 90 days that I've been here. We've gotten a chance to go to Shannon Sharp events. We've had a chance to go and interview Barbara Boyd. And when I say we, I mean me and my photographer, my photojournalist, because we don't do this by ourselves. I'm never going to go into an interview and take all the credit myself.
I always say we are just glorified mic stands.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we've had a lot of great opportunities on the Daybreak show, and I've been lucky to be a part of that and have great management who have heard my ideas. Everything I started off when I got here, I made a list of everything that was oh, we don't know if you can do that. Oh, maybe we should think about that. Oh, we'll look at it. Like my little list of things that I couldn't do in other markets. And I just threw them at the bosses here.
Yeah.
And you know how that went.
Yeah.
They're like, okay, when do you want to do it? Okay, what day do you want to do that?
Yeah.
I'm like, wait, are you joking?
That's one of the coolest things about working here. And I'm from the area. I grew up in a small town called Roachdale, Indiana. Watched Wish TV growing up. Watched Randy. Watched all those guys. Dave Barris. And one of the coolest things is when I interviewed here, they said, we don't want to tell you what to do. We want you to know what you want to do and do it. And that was such a cool, freeing feeling of being able to just say, this is a passion project. I'd like to get this done. And they go, great. You may have to do some of it outside of regular work time to do that, but we'd love to have it. And so that's cool that they were kind of the same way with you on that. That's awesome.
Yeah. I did not think that some of the interviews we've done so far, the Black History Month special, I told them, every single year I would always do, those were my pet projects, right? Black History Month, Women's History Month, and LGBTQ Pride Month. Yeah. I'm like, guys, those are my big three. I'm like, I have to do something in each one of those months. And they literally said, well, are there any other months that you want to do things?
And nope, just those three.
And I'm like, sure. If there's something that you got, throw it at me. If I haven't done it, I'm down to do it. And I think, I started let's go into that story. Yeah. I started 2 weeks prior than when I actually started. Right. There was a company meeting, and I literally showed up and everyone was like, I thought he was starting on like the 13th or the 19th. And it's like, I just wanted to come early to meet you guys.
I mean, and we appreciated that. You being here for the semi-annual, office meetings is a good move. That's very smart. Outside of career, what are some things that Jeremy loves doing?
I love to travel. I think anyone that follows me on social media and you hear me speak on the morning show, it's nothing for me to say, oh, yeah, Tara, what's the airport traffic looking like? I'm hopping on a plane this weekend. Or, hey, getting ready to hop in the rental car, go for a little drive. The good part about being in the crossroads of America is that you're in the crossroads of America.
For sure.
I would not have taken this role if I had to go back to the times in our career where we were isolated from friends, isolated from family, right?
You'd have to drive 3 hours to an airport, things like that, if not more, depending on where you were living.
Yes. Oh, my gosh. Cody, I could go on and on about those times. There was once in Montana, just to get out of the state and back home to Arkansas, I drove 3.5 hours in a snowstorm at the highest elevation in the country. I literally did not turn the radio on. I prayed the entire drive. I'm like, God, just get me to the airport and get me home
Fingers
safely.
Wrapped around the wheel as tight as possible.
Yes, absolutely. So this was a blessing to have an opportunity that just opened up in the center of my world, essentially. I've built a life on the East Coast. I have family there. I have friends there that I've known, like I said, 5.5, 6 years. And then I also have my home base, which is back in Arkansas. Yeah. So I'm right in the middle.
Any favorite places to eat yet here in Indianapolis? Have you found anything that's kind of a go-to for you?
That's a good question. Not right now. I haven't found a go-to. The Cunningham Group, I have to say, their restaurants,
of theirs very good.
I've tried a few, and I'm very impressed. Yeah. They also have a great reward system.
They do.
I'm very happy with that.
Yeah. Reward systems when it comes to doing things. As you get older, those just become better. Right. I love the idea of knowing that I spent money and now I might get something for free on the back end of that or something cheaper.
Absolutely.
It's such a weird thing as you age where that stuff kind of matters differently. But
Livery is just, it's one of the restaurants that I tried recently. I hope I'm saying that right.
You're good.
I tried that recently. And I, of course, my effort to drag out your
Yes, yeah. It's difficult sometimes to get April out and about, but you've now done it twice that I've seen on social media.
And I told her, get ready for brunch. We're going to go to brunch in a couple weeks. I said, get ready. Rest up. Do what you got to do.
It's good that you give her the couple weeks notice because she needs it. Otherwise, she'll flake out on you. I'm not going to be able to make it. Give her that notice.
She's like family. She went to school. Her and my cousin were great friends in college. Yeah. And so when she looked at me, it's so funny. We were in the newsroom.
I remember this. Yeah.
She's like, Arkansas. She's like, who are your people? And I started naming down the list, and she's like, he went to U of A. I know who you are. Yeah. You're like my little brother. And that was that. And she really is. She's like my big sister.
Yeah. April's a blast. She was one of my first guests on Behind the Eight when I took it over. So, well, Jeremy, it's wonderful getting to know you, and we're so happy that you're here with us at Wish TV. You can catch Jeremy every morning on Daybreak, Monday through Friday, and sprinkled in random places as well, because he's always working and doing things. So, in fact, you did midday today, right?
Yes, I did midday today. Yeah. So, yeah, filling in a little bit here. And I think in a couple of weeks, we'll have a little bit of a shift change again. People are going to be taking off.
Here's what I would like to happen, and I don't know if it's going to be possible, but at some point, you need to get on either Lifestyle Live with me or All Indiana. Now, All Indiana would be a little bit later. I understand it's 4 p.m. You probably get ready for bed around then. But it'd be fun to have you. I think you'd do well in those shows.
Brady, Al,
yeah.
Juan,
If anyone's listening,
Erica, hello.
Not well enough that he takes my job, but Jeremy, thank you so much. We certainly appreciate you, and welcome to Indianapolis, my friend.
Thank you, my friend. Happy to be here.
If you guys would like to listen to any more Behind the 8 podcasts, you can do that anywhere you get your podcasts, as well as wishtv.com. Thanks for joining us.
From the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is Behind the 8 Podcast. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe to this podcast wherever you get your podcasts. And connect for even more on Facebook and at wishtv.com.